Greetings, children of the screen. Your friendly neighborhood nerd scum here once again, and today I'm being joined by
Old Man Logan.
Right on, guys. Today we're going to be talking about DC Nation number 0, which is out in stores today, and this book is basically 3 kind of short little preludes to 3 major stories or major events that are going to be unfolding over the summer. It's 25 cents, and this is your jumping on point. If you haven't been in DC for a while and you want to know what's happening, you want to know where to start, this is the issue to start on. And so I figure that we'll just kind of talk a little bit about each story in the order that they show up in the book. So we'll be starting off today with Batman, Your Big Day. So, what did you think of Batman, Your Big Day?
I mean, other than it's not really it's obviously a Batman story, but it definitely centralizes more on the Joker, for the whole story arc, which is, interesting, because you get a lot of little interesting elements out of the Joker, especially with, the art and just his portrayal seems a little different.
Right. The basic premise of the first one, the Joker story, is, basically, Joker shows up at some random dude's house waiting for an invitation to Batman and Catwoman's wedding, and he's convinced it will show up at this address. And it basically just shows you the day unfolding while Joker and this dude wait for the mail, and Joker being totally insane.
Yeah, flat out holding this guy hostage.
Yeah.
With no idea that this letter's actually going to show up, and the guy actually doesn't even know that the letter's going to show up.
Right, because why, as the guy asked, why would it show up here? But yeah, you made a good point in mentioning the art by Clay Mann in this particular story.
Solid.
It's a little weird at first when you're first looking at it. It looks a little bit off. But especially like when you get into the close-ups and stuff, like it is haunting. Like he managed to do a perfect Joker that's creepy as all hell, but he still looks like a dude that could exist in the world.
Yeah, just really screwed up dude.
Yeah, and it's also part of, I think, what makes it look so weird is like Joker in a suburban setting.
Right. Yeah, because they're in just like your everyday average house.
Yeah. So yeah, it's like this whole thing. But yeah, and then also interesting point to make on this one. Also, it seems like this depiction of Joker by Tom King is completely different from the way we saw him when he appeared in War of Jokes and Riddles.
Right.
The character model is very similar, but the way he acts, the way he behaves, in War of Jokes and Riddles, he didn't necessarily seem that crazy.
Right, just pissed off all the time.
Yeah,
really.
And in this one, he is, forgive the pun, batshit crazy. Yeah. Now, I don't know if that's just because a lot of people didn't respond to War of Jokes and Riddles, or if this is a different version of Joker.
Yeah.
But either way, we'll see.
Maybe he heard about the wedding and flipped a switch.
Right. And I believe they said that one's going to be continuing on from there in Batman number, Batman number 48 will continue that story.
Yeah.
Based on this, they got here, are you interested in reading that story?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, just to see, because it kind of alludes to as if he's going to show up to the wedding, which, pretty predictable, but at the same time, want to see that. Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yep.
I don't really know where it's going, but I'm interested to see what happens.
Yeah.
And I've had a weird relationship with Tom King's Batman. Someday I'll do a whole video on that, but we're going to go ahead on that. I'm also interested. I'm going to read it. Damn it. He keeps pulling me back in every time I'm ready to drop it. But we're going to go ahead and move on to the next story, which is Superman's story in Office Space is the title.
I feel like that's the one that brought up the most questions. Like the first and last story were pretty straightforward, pretty standard, but then Bemis's story is a little weird. Bendis, my bad.
No worries. Bemis Bendis, yeah.
Yeah. Happens.
Right. But no, yeah, that's absolutely a fair point. This one is written by Brian Michael Bendis, and it's the first story where we're focusing in on the Daily Planet.
Yeah, we get to see some operations and, like a meeting, I guess you could say.
The way that the planet kind of is, we get to see the status quo for the planet,
right.
Like where they're at in terms of financially and ideologically and stuff like that. We also get to see that Lois no longer works at the planet.
Which is weird.
Yeah. And so before I go into my whole thing, I do want to state that there are a couple of little moments in this story that are really fantastic.
Yeah.
Moments like there's a moment where Perry White is getting really like ramped up and stuff, and like Superman stops what he's doing for a moment to check on Perry's blood pressure and heart rate. And then, like, it's steady. And he's like, I always get worried about him. And every time I check, he's steady. He's like, some people are... He's like, human beings are so amazing, basically. And I'm like, okay, that's perfect. That's a great
Superman
characterization of Superman, you know?
Also Perry, because, like, you always hear, like, Perry just being the loud, boisterous guy in the office place. But then you actually get to see him, like, have like a speech and be very like into... You can see how dedicated he is to journalism, like... For those that don't know him as a character. And you also get to see the difference between Perry outwardly, and then he has like a private conversation with Clark. Right. And you get to see like the difference between those two dynamics. So, which I do have an interesting point on that, because again, we were talking about some of the weird things with this. Because in the story, they were talking about how like the whole speech was brought on by... making Superman look like a criminal. Yes. And in the room, he's talking about how Clark seems to be really in a downward spiral with his writing. So I don't know if they're alluding that a lot of the stories they've been writing are because of Clark. So is Clark trying to make Superman look like a criminal? I don't know what's going on there. I don't think that's what they're pushing. I'm willing to bet that a lot of the negative stories being printed about Superman are as a result of what we saw in Action Comics 1000. Yeah. That fight that demolished... Basically, they pulled a Man of Steel and just had probably a couple of dozen people die in this attack. And then, Clark probably feels guilty. Yes. Because he did demolish a lot of the city. That's possible. You know, and we don't know, even though this is a prelude, we don't know what Bendis is going to do with time and like where he's going to actually start the story. Clark might know more than we found out in Action Comics 1000. And that's a possibility. Yeah. But here is the thing I was going to point out. In the story, Clark is depressed. Yeah. He's out of sorts. Yep. He's down on himself. Yeah, he just seems very, like, questioning of everything. Yeah, and just kinda... this is my issue, is that every new big writer who comes to Superman is like, oh, well, like, I can't do a story with the way Superman is. I have to make him sad. Every... freaking time. Brian Azzarello did Superman. Oh, I'm gonna make him sad, you know? Yeah. Freaking, everybody is like, they just want to do sad Superman stories, and I'm just like, that's... Man, oh my god, J. Michael Straczynski's Grounded? Superman Grounded? I don't know if I've told you about this one. That might need to be another video, too. Some people like it. What you mean, you ain't read? Yeah, or something like that. Like, it's just Superman walking across the country... with a bunch of jackasses coming up being like, my husband died of cancer and you weren't around to stop it. That's the book. Okay. That's the book. So anyway, we might do a whole thing on that later on, but that's not the point. The point is, every like big writer who wants to do a dramatic story with Superman, their first instinct is, oh, well, like, I can't do that with Superman the way he always is, so I have to change him. I have to make him sad. Well, and with that, it seems like he's making a big change with Lois out of the picture. Exactly. Which is sketchy, I feel like. Yes. And so, like, and I get the reason why people want to do that. Not only do they want to make their mark, like, they want to tear Superman down and then show him build himself back up. Add another arc. Yes. But... the problem I find with a lot of those is that they haven't established what their version of Superman is. And because of that, you get the feeling that they're just completely changing the character. And I think that turns a lot of people off. And I don't know if I imagine that's what Bendis is going to do with this. He's going to rip Superman down into his base elements and then build him back up. Right. But everyone is so... he's already talked about his, like, clear depiction of what he thinks Superman is. Yeah. Which he might not be able to do with the original. Yeah, and maybe not. And I mean, like, but when so many people are worried about him taking over all the Superman books... I feel like he really should have led off with something that shows... because at this point, between Action Commons 1000 and this, we have no idea of, like, what his in-comic, iconic, like, what his version of Superman will be. What he said he was trying to portray on his biography. Yeah, he's page. Yes, he's said a lot of things, but we haven't seen it in the books. Yeah, so that's kind of worrying. Yeah, concerning. And beyond that, like, they introduce a new character who I was kind of interested in the beginning, but by the time they get to the final page reveal,
I just did not care about that story. I don't care about that story
Yeah.
at all. So
The only concerning part with her is she seems to like be cutting really close to knowing who Clark Kent is, or she
Yeah.
might already know.
Yeah, I think that's the
That's
implication.
The only thing that's
Like,
a little weird.
Yeah, like it feels like she's a plant, and at the same time, it's just like, okay, like I guess again that's interesting, but like I don't care.
Yeah.
Nothing else in the story made me really care. Like I'm like, okay, good characterization of this character and good characterization of this character, but you're not giving me anything to like really grab onto, like.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, Lois is gone to write something, but like that's so out of character, and you give us nothing to indicate. Again, this is just a preview. It's just a preview.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is
plenty of doors open.
Yeah. What I'm saying is, for me, the preview didn't make me want to follow up.
Right.
On it.
Yeah. It's supposed to be like a trailer.
Yes.
Like
absolutely.
You know, that ends, and you're like, oh crap! Like I need to know.
Right.
But you know, it's like with that, it's like I don't know if I want to know.
Yeah. Although I will say that the artwork by
it is fantastic.
Yeah. The artwork is absolutely by Lopez is absolutely fantastic. So yeah, like I think really it just depends on what you really want out of a story. This didn't make me. I'm still gonna check out Man of Steel #1, but this didn't give me, just like the Action Comics story.
Yeah.
It didn't give me any extra push to be like, oh yeah, I need to know this. I need to read this. You know.
Yeah.
So anyway, you felt the same, I take it.
Yeah. Like I'm kind of with you. I'm going to check it out. I'm not even a Superman guy, but I just there's so many questions.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. So okay, we'll just go ahead and move on in now to the one that I'm sure everybody really wants to hear about. The last story in there is the prelude for Justice League No Justice.
Oof.
And it was dope.
Yeah, so cool.
It was dope. And that's weird because I had just before this read Avengers #1 by Jason Aaron and Ed McGuinness. And it's weird because the plots are seemingly almost identical.
Parallel.
But there's enough stuff going on around them that are completely and totally different that I'm still super interested, and I want to see where it goes. Oh, yeah. We finally got to see like all the teams that we're actually going to be getting.
Which I didn't even know we were going to see that. You know, like that was straight up almost like an origin. It felt like.
Yeah.
Like they were just showing us what's going on.
Right. Well, they did the action movie thing where it's basically like they throw you into the end of the last mission that the team was on before they then like finish it and start off on the new mission. Although this doesn't work out the way it normally does in those movies.
Yeah.
But I feel like in terms of showing the teams interacting and showing their dynamics, I think it gave us a good indication of the tone and feel of each team and the books that we'll be spinning off with characters from them and stuff.
And it also gave us a little bit of context for the teams. Like how they, like we all had our own ideas of how the teams came about.
Right.
Were they villains actually heroes now? Did they have a change of heart? And
yes.
Turns out that's not the case.
And, because... like they're all put on these teams, and like we already knew that Brainiac was the one who actually divided up the teams,
right?
Or at least we had that indication from things Scott Snyder had said. But in this book, we actually find out that like they're split into the 4 teams because each of those characters on those teams represent basically a cosmic level variation on like the 4 humors, which are like forces that bind the universe and stuff. So they've been split into those teams with their counter, like their energy counterpoint or something to that effect, and sent on missions that have to do with that cosmic force.
Right.
And it's really fun seeing some of these characters in the cosmic settings. Beast Boy and Harley Quinn specifically.
Harley Quinn's armor though looks solid.
Yes. All the characters have cool like space armor that I'm guessing Brainiac makes for them, or maybe Batman, or maybe Lex Luthor, maybe all 3 of them. I don't know.
The geniuses of the group, surely.
But either way, the armor all looks dope, and like all the characters are fun, and they seem like they're going to work really well in their groups. But specifically for me, Beast Boy and Harley Quinn stood out because they're the ones who, more than any of them, feel like they don't belong there.
Although we have had instances where Beast Boy does like interact with cosmic beings, right? To where he can turn into them and stuff.
Yes.
So hopefully they change, do some of that. That'd be cool.
Right. And that's actually one of the other things that I'm really interested in is like in the current continuity, I'm not sure if we have a definitive not origin, but a definitive, like, rule sheet for how Beast Boy's powers work.
Yeah.
Like, I know if he goes into another dimension, he can take the forms of the animals in that alternate dimension.
Right.
And same with, like, other planets. But when he's on Earth, he's limited to, like, Earth animals, theoretically.
Yeah.
But some artists have also drawn him as, like, griffins and shit like that.
Yeah, dragons.
And dragons, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So...
Can he turn into Starro?
Probably, that's the thing, is I don't know the rules. And I'm hoping, because we're dealing with, like, a larger cosmic scale of stuff, that, like, somehow we'll maybe either find the source of his original power, or get some kind of, like, indication on how it works or functions a little bit more heavily.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, there's really not a whole lot of plot going on. It's just them. We're introduced to who the villains of this story are going to be in idea.
Yeah.
And then it's them coming up against them, even though they're still unseen. And then it ends with the kind of reveal that the Superman book was trying to do.
Yeah. OS.
Yeah. Yeah, like, it's awesome. The end there is absolutely dope. And that's going to be continuing on in Justice League No Justice, which is beginning next week. So based on this, you'd read it?
It's solid.
Yeah.
I do have one, like, hope, really, for it, is that I hope that, because clearly they're not going to be a solid team off the bat. I feel like they're not.
No, not all of them.
So I hope there's a little struggle there.
Yeah.
Just,
I don't think the event's going to be very long, so I hope there's not a whole lot of it.
Oh, yeah, no, that would suck.
Especially because, like, in Rebirth, we've seen a fair amount, and, like, this is still New 52 continuity.
And then Dark Knight's Metal, like, Deadshot's already a thing.
Yeah,
Deathstroke.
And then also you have, like, the Forever Evil event from New 52, where, like, a lot of the villains ended up fighting against, like, the conquering other alternate Justice League and crap. So, yeah, like, we have a good setup for how they could work together, but I do imagine there's going to be a little bit of give and take, which I would hope for, because there needs to be some kind of internal conflict. But I think that
it's gonna be fun.
Yeah, but I think that, like, because of the shortness of it, and because they have enough setup for the characters interacting, that, like, we'll probably get to, like, all of them begrudgingly working together fairly well.
Yeah.
I think the bigger issue is going to be that no matter how well they work together, the thing they're up against is just too big.
Yeah, and you can tell, like, in this, it gives you, like, their thoughts and feelings a little bit through the other groups, that, like, you kind of tell that, like, some of them are a little afraid, some of them are a little ambitious, intense.
Right.
And it's gonna be, even Beast Boy with his thing, which is my favorite part of that whole thing. Are you sure we're okay working with bad guys? It's like, I mean, fair point. You know?
He asked Batman, he's like, we're on the other side of the universe, and we're working with villains? Are you sure we're gonna be okay? And Batman's like, we'll do our best. And he's like, okay.
Yeah.
That's an answer.
Yeah.
It's
fair.
It's a great interaction.
Yeah.
But yeah, all in all, I definitely would recommend picking up the Justice League No Justice, and considering this book is a quarter, definitely pick it up too. Like, it was a fun read, and like, if nothing else, when you're done with it,
the art. I mean,
there's plenty of pages in here that you could use for collaging or just hang them up.
Yeah, I was about to say collaging as we look at the first page of Your Big Day.
Right.
Joker's creepy face.
Yeah, Joker's creepy ass face.
Man.
But yeah, all in all, for a quarter, this is absolutely well worth it.
Oh yeah.
Do you have any final thoughts?
I mean, just it's a quarter. Pick it up.
Yeah.
I mean,
definitely.
Looking forward to all the books. Too many questions. All the questions, man.
Yeah, lots of questions.
Yeah. So, but that's about it.
Right on. Well, thank you guys very, very much for watching. If you like this video, please leave a like and share it with some friends. And if you're not subscribed, make sure and hit the subscribe and that little bell so you can get updates on all the dope content I'll have coming out in the future. Once again, thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you have a good one.
I'm Old Man Logan.
And Nerd Scum, out.